My name is Seren Locke. I'm 30, a travel vlogger, and I live out of a Subaru that smells like sunscreen and instant coffee. Utah is my heartbeat. Red rock, blue sky, black coffee, repeat. I film the in-between sunrise hikes no one knows, roadside pie, the way the desert hums right before a storm. It was late April, shoulder season. The crowds hadn't swarmed Moab yet. I'd been stitching together something special for months, an itinerary I called The Quiet Arches. 8 days, 4 lesser-known slot canyons, a sunrise paddle on a glassy reservoir, a back of beyond ghost town, and a night in a stargazer dome run by a widow who tells stories like campfire sparks. I'd pitched it to a sponsor in January. They were a new outdoor brand, with money to burn and a clean, friendly font. We'll call them Peak Trail. They'd reached out after my Snow in the Desert video went mini-viral. Their email was warm, full of emojis and promise. They loved my voice. They wanted to lift local guides and human-scale adventure. They asked to see my spring concept. So I sent the deck. 16 pages, careful and specific. Places I'd scouted on foot. Drone notes. A shot list for sunrise at Fisher Towers that included turning the mic toward the cliff face so you can hear the ravens. I included alternate rain plans, my color grade references, and the URLs for the small businesses I wanted to feature. I even sent a Google map labeled with a tiny cactus icon for each stop. It was my heart in a zip file. Give us 2 weeks, they said. 2 weeks stretched long and thin like highway. I busied my hands with gear maintenance. I hiked, I filmed B-roll. I tried not to refresh my inbox 10 times an hour. When they finally replied, it was short, polite, and cold. Love your vision. Unfortunately, we're going a different direction this quarter. Please stay in touch. I reread that line until the words ran together. Different direction. Okay. Fine. It happens. I closed my laptop and drove to the San Rafael swell to film a sunset. The sky went lavender. The wind combed the grass. I told myself this was the kind of no that reroutes you somewhere better. 2 weeks later, Peak Trail launched their spring campaign. I wasn't looking for it. I was making oatmeal in a campground and absent-mindedly opened Instagram. Their ad auto-played with the sound off, just a slow drone pullback over a familiar arch glowing like embers. My stomach dropped. I turned the sound on. A voiceover said, "Discover the quiet arches." I nearly dropped my phone into my oatmeal. No one calls them that, no one but me. I sat on the aluminum picnic bench, the morning cold biting through my leggings, and watched a montage of places I'd pinned, paths I'd marked, faces I'd planned to feature. The widow's stargazer dome appeared same angle as my scouting still. The ghost town, the wide shot from the hill, with the dead tree in frame. A sunrise paddle, identical drift path across the water. My chest tightened. I scrubbed back and listened again. The script lifted my cadence. The taglines echoed my notes. They hadn't just taken the idea. They'd taken my voice and imprinted it with their brand colors. A text buzzed. It was from Zoe, my friend who manages my Patreon. "Babe, did you see Peak Trail? This looks like your thing." I stared at the screen until my vision blurred. I called her. She answered on the second ring. "Seren? It's mine," I said, my voice like sandpaper. "It's literally my trip." She was quiet for a beat. "Do you have receipts?" "Everything," I said. "Pitch deck, timestamps, map, emails." "Okay," she said, voice sharpening. "Breathe. Eat something. Then we document." I didn't eat. I drove. The road unspooled beneath me as I tore toward Moab. Anger burning clean and bright. I could taste metal. The La Salle Mountains sat snow-topped and indifferent, like judges. Inside my head, a chorus started. "You should have watermarked the map. You should have sent less. You should have known better." They didn't just steal money. They stole story. My story. I pulled into a coffee shop with decent Wi-Fi and a barista who knows my name. "Rough day?" he asked, sliding me an extra espresso shot. "Something like that," I said, forcing a smile. I took a corner table and opened my laptop. My hands shook. I found the original email chain. I pulled the deck from my sent folder. I opened the Google map and checked the sharing history. My cactus icons stared back, cheery and naive. I scrolled Peak Trail's campaign page. There it was again. The quiet arches. A glossy video with influencers I'd never met, smiling in places I had sweat to find at dawn. The light sheer and perfect on their untouched gear. The caption said, "Crafted with local partners." A lie that tasted like pennies. I grabbed my journal and wrote everything I could remember. Dates, pitches, phone calls, names. The line cook clanged pans in the back. Outside, a dog barked. Someone laughed too loud, and my nerves jolted like a dropped camera. My phone pinged again. DMs flooded in. "Isn't this your thing? This has your voice. Did you collab with them?" I felt sick. I typed back to one, then two, then stopped. I needed to be precise. I needed to be calm. I needed to be absolutely, unshakably right. Zoe called again. "Okay," she said without hello. "We assemble the thread. You lead with facts, no adjectives, screenshots, timestamps, and my fan trips," I said, the idea hitting like adrenaline. "I've been doing test runs with patrons since February. They signed waivers with the project name. They posted photos from the roadside pie place. Same day, same table number." Zoe exhaled. "That's gold." I opened Dropbox and felt a small, savage pulse of pride at my own organization. I kept everything. I had drafts of scripts and voice memos recorded in my car at stoplights. I had the Zoom call with Peak Trail's brand manager bookmarked, her face in a little rectangle saying, "We're obsessed with the intimacy of your plan." I started pulling files, screen recorded my Google map, took screenshots of emails with subject lines like "Quiet Arches Itinerary for Review." Found the Instagram posts from my Feb patron test group, Maya and Luis grinning under a sandstone fin, the pie place's green Formica tabletop unmistakable. Number "Quiet Arches" in the caption. My rage cooled into focus. I drafted the opening. "Hi, I'm Seren. You know me for honest, small-scale travel in the American West. Today, I'm not showing you a sunrise. I'm showing you how a sponsor stole my itinerary concept and branded it as their own." I paused and looked out the window. The desert light had gone harsh, flattening everything. A gust lifted dust like a sigh. I felt the hurt then, not just the anger. The thing, under the thing. I had learned these places slowly, by missing turns and talking to gas station clerks, and listening when old-timers told me about the time it snowed, in August. I'd built trust. That wasn't content, it was relationship. And now, a brand had sandblasted my work into ad copy. I closed my eyes. In my head, I saw the widow at the Stargazer Dome, pouring tea, telling me how her husband used to name the constellations wrong on purpose to make her laugh. I thought about the pie place owner who never smiles in photos, but always gives an extra scoop of ice cream if you say please. They were going to get flooded now. Busloads. Tripods. Trash. This wasn't just about me. I opened my eyes and hit record on my webcam. "Story time," I said to the blinking red light. My voice was steady. "And receipts. And receipts." I spoke plainly, letting the facts stack like cairns. I showed the proposal, the timeline, the deck, the map. I rolled in the fan trip posts with consent screenshots. I paused after each piece, letting the weight settle. I didn't speculate. I didn't name names outside the company. I didn't need to. As I edited, the barista slid a muffin beside me like a peace offering. "Thanks," I murmured, not looking away from the waveform. Zoe texted a checklist until it filled half my screen. Add a call to action for creators to watermark and to use read-only links. Blur license plates. Protect the widow's exact location. I nodded to myself and did all of it. Then I opened Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. I typed the caption carefully. "How a sponsor stole my itinerary, and what I'm doing about it." My finger hovered over post. Behind my anger was fear. What if no one cares? What if they spin it? What if they bury me with PR? But under that fear was something quieter and heavier. Resolve. I thought about the first time I picked up a camera and felt the world sharpen into meaning. I thought about the canyon walls that made me feel small in a way that wasn't belittling, just honest. I thought about every person who had written me to say they'd visited a place and treated it gently because I asked them to. I took a breath, my phone buzzed one more time. A new email slid into my inbox. Subject line: Peak Trail. Clarification. I clicked. My eyes skimmed the first sentence. Then, the second. And the third made me sit up so fast my chair squeaked. They wanted me to align our narratives before I shared confusing content. Attached was a mutual statement, already drafted in corporate beige. It framed our collaboration as informal and inspired. It ended with a soft threat about industry relationships. My spine went cold. Somewhere, a kid dropped a plate and it shattered. Everyone in the coffee shop laughed. I didn't. I looked at the email, then at my cursor hovering over post, and I realized Peak Trail had just handed me the most important receipt of all. I selected the attachment. I dragged it into my thread, and as the progress bar inched across, a shadow fell over my table. A man cleared his throat. "Seren Locke?" he said, voice practiced and smooth. "I think we should talk before you do something you'll regret." He looked like every brand rep I've ever met, right down to the Patagonia vest and the watch that only vibrates in meetings. He set a business card on my table without asking to sit. Evan Price, Peak Trail Communications. I kept my hands flat on the laptop so he couldn't see I was shaking. The attachment to their mutual statement email glowed on my screen like a hazard light. "Hi, Evan," I said. "You're a long way from your office." He smiled like he'd practiced it in a mirror. "We monitor sentiment. When we saw your draft video, upload ping our brand tags, we wanted to get ahead of confusion." Behind him, the barista pretended to wipe the same spot on the counter but didn't go away. "Confusion," I repeated. "You mean theft?" Evan's smile tightened. "Language escalates. We don't want escalation, we want alignment." He tapped the card with 2 fingers, like a magician finishing a trick. "Let's take a walk?" "No," I said, too quickly. "I like witnesses." His eyes flicked to the barista, then back. "Okay. Here's the reality. You sent a pitch. We passed. We ran a concept that shares certain archetypes. Southwest. Sunrises. Small businesses. Quiet arches," I said. His smile faltered. "I coined it," I added softly. "I have the first use timestamped on Patreon. February 3rd. Hashtag and all." He leaned forward. "Seren, you're talented. You have an audience. I'm here to protect both." "From what?" I asked. "The truth?" He slid a folder from his tote like a magician pulling out a rabbit. Inside, a printed NDA and a check. I didn't pick it up. "We license your footage from scout trips," he said. "You post a joint statement. We adjust our captions to inspired by. You keep your relationship with our brand. Everyone wins. Except the people you steamrolled," I said. "Except the widow with the dome, the pie place that isn't ready for busloads." He nodded indulgently, like I was a child listing endangered species. "We're increasing tourism dollars. We're good guys." My phone, face down, buzzed once. I flipped it over like a gambler checking a card. A text from Zoe. "You good? Call me. Recording app on?" I slid my thumb against the phone's side and felt the haptic click. Voice memo rolling, tucked under the table, pure. "Here's my counter," I said, keeping my voice even. "You remove the campaign. You credit me publicly as the originator. You pay a licensing fee that covers the deliverable rate plus damages. You fund a stewardship plan for the exact places you featured, designed by locals, not interns." He blinked like I'd told a joke he didn't understand. "Or," I continued, "I post my thread in 30 seconds and the internet eats your brand like a convenience store burrito." Evan's expression barely changed, but a vein moved in his neck. "That would be regrettable," he said. "For you. Because legal is already looped. Because defamation is expensive." "I'm not defaming," I said. "I'm citing." He tapped the printed check again, softer this time. "Think." You live on sponsorships. We talk to each other. I know, I said. That's why I keep my car full of instant coffee. The barista snorted. Evan exhaled through his nose, the smile finally sliding off his face. Then consider this your last friendly warning. He stood. Seren, he said, pitching it like a parting gift. Brands tell stories bigger than one person. Don't be the person who makes us look small. He walked out. The door chimed. No one in the coffee shop looked at me. Everyone looked at their screens, pretending not to hear. I stared at the folder, then at the check. Then, at the red dot on my voice memo app, still recording, patient as a heartbeat. Zoe called. I answered on the first ring. He came? She asked. He came, I said. He brought an NDA and a bribe. Did you record? Yes, I said. Good, she said, because I have Amisha on hold. Amisha was the lawyer. Zoe keeps on a list, saved as, in case of garbage fire. Her specialty, creatives versus corporations. Her voice came through clean and clipped. No NDA, she said without warm-up. Do not sign. Do not touch. Keep everything. We are not saying the word steal, we're saying misappropriation, passing off unjust enrichment. We're leveraging public sentiment and the fact that you have dated documents. How much original expression is in your deck? Scripts, captions, map labels, the coined title, I said. Shot lists. My cadence. The hook. Maps and ideas alone aren't protectable, she said. But expression is. The name is. The specific script lines are. Your patrons' posts with the hashtag help. The Zoom recording helps if they acknowledge seeing your materials. I have her on camera saying, "We're obsessed with the intimacy of your plan," I said. Amisha exhaled. Great. We'll do 2 tracks, public receipts, private demand letter. Zoe, spin up a press packet with a timeline graphic before, after, make it idiot-proof. Seren, post from your channels. Don't DM companies. Speak to your audience. Call to action. Number, credit the creator. Watermark every receipt. Blur addresses. No doxing. I closed my eyes for a half second, letting their competence pour over me like cool water. Also, Amisha added, we mirror everything. Expect takedowns. On it, Zoe said. I'll seed the files to 20 trusted creators in case her drive link gets nuked. I opened the editor and dropped Evan's recorded lines into the timeline. Clean. Enough ambient sound to feel real. A clink of cups. My breath. Steady. The barista drifted over and set down a glass of water. You okay? I looked up. His eyes were kind, and a little scared. Ask me in an hour, I said. He nodded. For what it's worth, the widow with the dome, her name's Margot. Her nephew's in my trivia team. She can stay with my sister if it gets weird. Something in me unclenched. Thank you. I added a slate to the video. Peak Trail reps approached me in person minutes before posting. Conversation recorded and shared with counsel. I pasted in screenshots. My deck cover with the cactus icon. The email subject lines. The patron posts with timestamps. A clip of the Zoom call with the brand manager, saying the quiet part out loud. I took one long breath, and I hit post. The internet doesn't explode all at once. It ripples. First, my regulars. The people who know my voice. Comments like hugs and knives. Then, bigger accounts. The ones with blue checks and short memories. Then creators I've admired from afar, quote tweeting with, "This happens way too often." Zoe sent a string of rocket emojis and then, "I'm making a resource doc. You narrate, I'll format." Amisha texted, "Drafting letter to legal. Do not engage with trolls. Screenshot everything." I watched the numbers tick up. 10,000 views. 20. A DM from an investigative journalist I follow, but never thought would know my name. Talia, from Outland. "Can we talk on the record?" I called. Talia's voice was brisk and human. "I'm in Salt Lake," she said. "If I drive now, I'm there by afternoon. Can you share your full doc set? And can I talk to any locals impacted?" "Margot," I said. "The widow with the dome. The pie place owner, Frank. My patrons who did test runs. I'll ask permission. You're a good narrator, Talia said. Stay in first person. People can smell PR spin. Also, Peak Trail has a habit of NDAs. If someone inside is queasy, this is when they leak. As if summoned, my phone pinged with an airdrop request from unknown. File name: Peak Trail, Spring, Campaign, QA, V, 4, Final, PPTX. My heart did a weird, hopeful stutter. I accepted. Slides fluttered open. On page 3, a bullet point in corporate gray. Inspiration, Quiet Arches pitch, received from S. Locke Jan 17. I took a screenshot so fast my fingers blurred. Talia? I said, breath gone. You're going to want to see this. Send, she said, voice sharpening. I dropped the slide into our shared folder. My notifications were a hurricane now. Praise, rage, a brand account following me like a shark. And then, like a predictable clock striking, an email arrived from Peak Trail Legal, cease and desist, defamatory and confidential information. Amisha replied within 2 minutes with a CC to a partner whose email signature had too many letters after it. I hovered over the new airdrop file again. Another request popped up. Same sender. This one. Internal, crisis. Comps, Seren. Docs. I accepted. The document opened hot. Influencer appears emotionally volatile. Offer support language. Avoid admitting mistake. Emphasize shared values. If necessary, propose small donation to local conservancy to mitigate optics. Optics. They really said optics. I laughed, a little unhinged. I posted screenshots with the caption, I'm optics now. 40,000 likes in 8 minutes. Zoe texted, I love you. Also remember to eat. I bit into the pity muffin like it owed me money. An alert popped up from Google. Someone requested access to your Quiet Arches map. The email address looked weird like a burner. I denied and changed the link to view only, no downloads. Then my browser refreshed itself like a magic trick. My thread went blank. I blinked, reloaded, blank. Hard in my throat, I checked YouTube Studio. The video played. Comments raging, safe. Instagram, still up. Twitter? The whole thread gone. A new DM slid in from a creator friend. Heads up. Peak Trail is flagging your doc links as malware. People are getting warnings when they click. I looked at the empty thread space and felt fury zipline down my spine. We knew they'd play dirty, Amisha wrote. We make it dirt-proof. Zoe pinged. Backup thread ready on our mirror site. You upload an explainer. We'll host the receipts outside their takedown reach. I stood up to head for the door, to go somewhere I could control more than a coffee shop Wi-Fi. That's when the bell chimed again. Evan walked back in, not alone this time. 2 uniformed deputies followed him, hands resting casual on their belts, eyes scanning like they were looking for litter. Evan's voice was publicly polite. Officers, that's Miss Locke. She's distributing proprietary materials and inciting harassment at a business we represent. The entire cafe went very quiet. I lifted my chin. I have counsel, I said. The taller deputy nodded, neutral. You Seren Locke? Yes. He held out a folded paper. We need to ask you to step outside and answer a few questions. Evan's mouth barely moved, but I saw it. A smile. Small and sharp. I slid my phone into my back pocket, the voice memo still rolling, and I followed them into the Utah sun. The Utah sun was blinding hot enough to make the asphalt shimmer like a mirage. The deputies led me a few steps from the cafe patio, the red cliffs behind them glowing like slow fire. People inside pretended not to stare through the glass, but I could feel every set of eyes on my back. Evan stood off to the side, phone in hand, pretending he wasn't filming. The taller deputy introduced himself. I'm Deputy Ward, this is Deputy Carlisle. We just want to clear up a report we received. From him? I asked, nodding toward Evan. Ward glanced at him, then back at me. Says there's a dispute about intellectual property. Says you may have published internal materials without permission. I almost laughed. He means my own materials, that I created, which they stole. Carlyle's tone was polite but rehearsed. You're not under arrest, ma'am. We're just mediating a complaint. Mediating, I repeated. Out here in the sun? Evan stepped closer, all corporate calm. Seren, this doesn't have to escalate. Take down the thread, issue a clarification, and we'll drop the complaint. Simple. I met his gaze. You filed a complaint because I told the truth? He spread his hands. Because you're hurting good people who work hard. I looked at the deputies. You're hearing this, right? He's trying to strong-arm me with police presence because I refused hush money. Carlyle shifted. Ma'am, if that's the case, you'll want to talk to your attorney. We're just making sure nothing physical happens here. Nothing physical? I said, pulling out my phone. Perfect. Then I'll keep recording. I tapped the screen to show the red circle blinking. For transparency. Ward cleared his throat. You're within your rights to film, yes. Evan's face twitched the tiniest break in his mask. I turned my phone toward him. Smile, Evan. Say hi to the internet. He spun and walked toward his car, muttering, This isn't over. Oh, I said under my breath. I know. The deputies watched him leave. When his SUV disappeared behind a line of parked cars, Carlyle leaned closer. Off the record, miss, get a lawyer if you don't already have one. These corporate types like to throw weight around. I already do, I said. Ward nodded, handing me his card. If he keeps showing up, call us directly. And maybe stay somewhere with other folks around. Appreciate it, I said. They left. The cafe door swung open, and the barista stepped out, phone in hand. That went viral, he said, showing me my own face on TikTok, me, confronting Evan, framed by sunlight and sandstone. The caption read, Local vlogger stands up to corporate rep trying to silence her. 300,000 views in under an hour. I didn't even post it. Someone in the cafe had. I rubbed my temples. Guess the story's out now. He smiled faintly. You're trending under number quiet arches. Back in my car, I sat with the AC blasting, hands gripping the steering wheel. Zoe's name popped up on my screen. Incoming call. You okay? She blurted before I could even say hi. Mostly. They sent deputies. Her inhale was sharp. What? He tried to make it look like I leaked company files. I recorded everything. The cops weren't hostile. Thank God. Good. Don't move alone tonight. You still in Moab? Yeah. I'll book you a motel, use cash. Don't tell me which one yet. Just text a photo of the key when you're safe. I smiled faintly. You sound like we're in a spy movie. We kind of are, she said. Then her tone softened. Seren, you did the right thing. Just remember why you started. The story isn't just revenge, it's accountability. Revenge feels easier right now, I said quietly. Maybe. But you're building precedent. You're fighting for every creator who's ever been gaslit by a contract. She was right. But the anger was still hot in my throat, too bitter to swallow. By the time I checked into a cheap roadside motel outside Arches National Park, my story had jumped platforms. A YouTube commentary channel I barely knew had already uploaded. Travel vlogger versus. Peak Trail did the brand steal her work. Clips from my thread, my receipts, my trembling voice at the cafe. The view count spun like a slot machine. I scrolled through comments. Protect Seren at all costs. Peak Trail just ended themselves. Where can I buy from her sponsors instead? Then, this feels staged. She's milking it. That one stuck like a burr. I closed the app. My phone buzzed again. An unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. Seren Locke? A woman's voice asked. This is Maya from the Peak Trail content team. Please don't hang up. I stayed silent. I can't talk long, she said. But you should know there are internal chats. They knew it was your work. The manager even joked about lifting from Locke. I saved screenshots. My pulse spiked. Why are you telling me? Because it's wrong, she said. Because I pitched your YouTube series to them last year, and they said you weren't brand safe. But they took everything else. Can you prove it? I can send the Slack exports, but please blur my name if you share. Deal, I said. Send them to my encrypted email. I gave her the alias Zoe had set up for tips. Before hanging up, she added softly, "They're panicking. The VP's already called emergency PR. Expect them to smear you next." Smear how? Rumors. Character stuff. Maybe that you faked your evidence. Just be ready. Click. By midnight, Zoe, Amisha, and I were on a group call. Amisha sounded almost energized. "We now have whistleblower testimony. That's discovery gold. If she sends those Slack logs, we can prove intent." Zoe: "We should go on offense before they spin it. Post the recording of the deputies. Show that they tried intimidation." I hesitated. "Won't that make me look defensive?" Zoe's voice softened. "Seren, the only reason bullies win is because they make you doubt your tone. You have truth on your side, show it." I nodded, staring at the motel ceiling fan, spinning shadows across the walls. The next morning, I woke to an avalanche. Betrayal had released an official statement. "We are saddened by the misinformation circulating about our spring campaign. We respect all creators, including Miss Locke, whose work inspires our community. However, we categorically deny any wrongdoing. We invite Miss Locke to engage in constructive dialogue rather than social media attacks." Constructive dialogue. Translation: shut up and move on. They'd even attached a side-by-side image comparing my map and theirs, claiming the overlap was coincidental. Zoe texted, "They're baiting you." I didn't reply. Instead, I opened the files Maya had sent overnight. There, they were screenshots of internal messages. "We'll rename it Quiet Arches, that's catchy. Didn't that come from that vlogger chick?" "Yeah, but she's small. No one will notice." My chest tightened. Proof. Real, ugly proof. I called Talia, the journalist. "I've got the smoking gun," I said. "Send everything," she replied. "We'll verify metadata and publish. You ready for this to get national?" I hesitated only a second. Yes. I hit upload. By evening, Outland magazine published. Inside the Quiet Arches scandal, leaked chats show brand new they stole creators' concept. It trended Hashon on Twitter within an hour. Comments flooded in, creators sharing their own stolen pitches. Small-town artists tagging me. Legal experts dissecting fair use. For the first time in days, I felt still. But peace never lasts long in a storm. At 9:14 p.m., Zoe called again. "Check your DMs." I did. A new account, no followers, no name, had sent me something chilling. A photo of my Subaru parked outside the motel. Caption: "Careful what you post, Locke." My stomach dropped. "Zoe," I whispered. "They found me." "Pack your stuff. Now," she said. "Don't drive the same route. Go south. Find a busy place, gas station, rest stop, anywhere public. I'll track your location." I grabbed my camera bag, laptop, and hard drives, everything that mattered. The rest could burn. As I stepped outside, the desert wind kicked up dust across the empty parking lot. No headlights, no movement, just the quiet hum of cicadas. I started the engine. My phone buzzed again, this time. A text from an unknown number. "You should have taken the check, Seren." The night swallowed the road ahead, and my headlights carved a thin path through the dark. Somewhere out there, someone was watching. But I wasn't running. I was regrouping. Because the desert doesn't lie, and neither did I. The highway out of Moab felt longer that night than any stretch I'd ever driven. My hands were slick on the steering wheel, every pair of headlights behind me making my pulse spike. The road cut through desert nothingness, a ribbon of black asphalt framed by starlit cliffs. Zoe was still on speakerphone, her voice the only anchor I had. "Where are you now?" "South of Green River," I said. No sign of anyone, but someone took a photo of my car outside the motel. They knew my plate. "I've already called Amisha," she said. "We're filing for harassment, but right now, I need you to keep moving and find a 24-hour place. Gas station, truck stop, doesn't matter." "Copy that," I said. In the rear view, the horizon was clean, no taillights, no movement, just emptiness, but I could feel eyes somewhere behind me. 30 minutes later, I pulled into a dusty truck stop that looked like it hadn't been remodeled since the 90 seconds. The fluorescent lights buzzed, half the letters on the sign dead. Eat. Open. Inside, the air smelled like burnt coffee and diesel fuel. A few truckers hunched over pie slices, their conversations low and gravelly. I sat in the corner booth, laptop open, and connected to the weak Wi-Fi. Notifications were still detonating across my feeds. My latest post, the one about the motel photo, had already crossed 500,000 views. Comments ranged from sympathy to fury to fear. Stay safe, Seren. You need security. We're with you. And then the occasional poison. She's making this up for views. Publicity stunt. Brands don't do that. I exhaled through my teeth. Sure they don't, I muttered. A waitress with bleached hair and tired eyes slid me a mug. On the house. You look like hell. Thanks, I said. Been a long week. She smiled faintly. Honey, it's only Wednesday. Zoe texted me a secure link. Press requests coming in like a flood. Don't talk to anyone but Outland. The others want a headline, not truth. Got it, I typed back. My cursor hovered over another message, this one from an unknown sender. Stop before it gets worse. The desert buries things. I stared at the words until they blurred. Then I took a deep breath, opened my notes app, and started drafting. If they wanted fear, I'd give them facts instead. Title: The desert doesn't bury the truth. I'm still here, still on the road, still telling my story. You can silence posts, but not people. You can steal a name, but not what it means. I attached a photo I'd taken months earlier, sunrise over Dead Horse Point, the light spilling like gold dust across the canyon. Then I hit post. Within minutes, the comments filled with solidarity, again creators offering to mirror my files, journalists quoting me, even a few lawyers volunteering free consultation. Community. Real. Raw. Unstoppable. It steadied me. The next morning, I woke up in my car parked behind the truck stop. My neck hurt, my coffee was cold, but I was alive, and I had work to do. Zoe's text pinged before sunrise. You're trending on Reddit. Someone leaked internal Peak Trail emails. I blinked, reread it, then opened my browser. The thread title hit me like a slap. R. Business leaks. Peak Trail's internal panic emails confirmed they stole concept, quiet arches. The screenshots matched Maya's Slack logs, but these had timestamps and names. Executives discussing damage control. Phrases like, contain the Locke narrative, and influence creator allies. Someone inside had gone rogue, and I silently thanked them. But there was one line in particular that made my blood run cold. If she continues posting, we escalate through back channels. Back channels. I forwarded the thread to Amisha. Her reply came within 5 minutes. They're talking about shadow PR smear campaigns, contract blacklists, maybe even data flagging. But don't worry, we have momentum. They're cornered. By noon, Outland dropped another bombshell article. Leaked emails reveal Peak Trail's attempt to intimidate creator after plagiarism scandal. It went nuclear. Every creator who'd ever been underpaid, ignored, or ghosted shared it. Hashtags multiplied like wildfire. Number, credit the creator. Number, pay your artists. Number, quiet no more. Even national outlets picked it up. Morning shows quoted my tweets. My subscriber count doubled in 24 hours. But with the spotlight came shadows. A fake account popped up pretending to be me, posting inflammatory comments. Then another claiming to be a former assistant, spilling secrets. They were sloppy, but effective. The internet loves chaos more than justice. Zoe called again, voice tight. They're trying to drown your credibility. We need a clean counterpunch. I stared out the window at the desert, stretching forever. Then let's give them something they can't spin. What are you thinking? Margot, I said. The widow with the stargazer dome. She deserves her story told. That afternoon, I drove back toward her property, 2 hours off the main road, tucked into the mesas. The drive felt like going home. When I arrived, Margot was already outside, watering the dusty patch of wildflowers near the domes. She looked up, smiled, and waved me over. Seren Locke, she said warmly. I figured you'd be back sooner or later. I laughed, though my voice cracked. You saw the videos? Half the tourists who came through showed me, she said. I told them, that's my girl. Her kindness nearly undid me. I explained what happened, the stolen campaign, the harassment, the leaks. Her expression hardened, lines deepening like weathered stone. They used my home in their ad, she said. Didn't even ask. And now I got folks showing up every day wanting selfies in the dome. No manners, no respect. Then let's film the truth, I said. You, telling your side. She nodded. Let's do it. The footage we shot that day was raw, her voice trembling, her eyes fierce. This isn't content, she said into my lens. It's where I buried my husband's ashes. It's our land, and they sold it like a backdrop. I cried behind the camera. That night, I edited the video from her guest dome, the stars burning above me. The desert was silent except for the click of my keyboard. When I uploaded it, I titled it simply, The Quiet Arches, The Real Story. It wasn't a call-out. It was a requiem, and within hours, it became my most viewed video ever. But as the numbers climbed, so did the danger. At 2 a.m., Zoe texted in all caps, "They're coming after your channel." I refreshed. My YouTube dashboard showed multiple copyright claims, all from Betrayal's legal department. One by one, they were trying to take down my entire archive. The irony was suffocating, the thieves accusing the stolen. "Don't panic," Zoe wrote. "We're countering with timestamps, fair use, and documentation. Amisha's already on it." I stared at the screen as the notifications kept flooding in. Part of me wanted to scream. Another part wanted to hit record again, right there, to capture the moment the system tried to silence me, and failed. So I did. I turned the camera on myself and spoke softly, directly, like I was telling a secret. They can take the videos, but they can't take the truth. Every lie leaves a trail, every canyon holds an echo. And this one, I glanced toward the window, where the desert wind whispered against the glass, isn't done echoing yet. When I ended the recording, the desert outside was black and still. But then, my phone buzzed another message from the same unknown number. This time, it wasn't text. It was a video. I tapped it. The footage was grainy, shaky, filmed from a distance. It showed me walking into Margot's dome earlier that day. Caption: "Still think you're safe, Locke?" My breath hitched. Outside, a single car engine revved in the distance. Margot's voice called from the next dome. "Seren? You alright?" I swallowed hard. "Yeah," I lied. Just editing." But I knew. They'd found me again. And this time, they weren't bluffing. The night pressed close around the domes, thick with silence. Margot's light flickered through the window like a heartbeat. But I couldn't shake the image from that video, my own body framed in someone else's lens. I stepped outside. The desert air was cool, sharp, smelling faintly of rain that would never fall. Nothing. Just wind, and the faint hiss of distant power lines. I walked the perimeter with my flashlight off, letting my eyes adjust to the dark. My boots crunched against sand and salt. Then, maybe 50 yards away, the faintest glint of metal. A car. Parked half hidden behind a rock outcrop. Engine off. I ducked behind a boulder and whispered into my phone. "Zoe, it's me. They're here." She didn't panic. She never panics. "Okay, stay low, don't engage. I've got your live location. I'm calling local law enforcement and Talia. She'll get a camera crew rolling." "Camera crew?" I hissed. "You wanted the truth to go viral," she said. "Now it's time." 10 minutes later, headlights approached from the opposite side, a slow crawl up the dirt road. The hidden car flicked on its lights in response. Like a signal, my breath caught. 2 of them. Then, a new sound, the gravel crackle of tires from Margot's driveway. Deputy Ward's cruiser. He stepped out, hand on his radio. "Miss Locke," he called quietly. I rose from behind the rock. Relief flooding me so fast my knees shook. "Thought you might need backup," he said, scanning the dark. "We had a report of trespassers out here." "From who?" I asked. Ward's radio crackled before he could answer. Unit 4, we've got movement East Ridge 2 vehicles, unmarked. He looked at me. Stay here. No, I said, adrenaline making my voice steel. They came for me. I'm not hiding this time. Ward hesitated, but he must have seen the fire in my eyes. He gave a small nod. Stay behind me then. We walked toward the ridge. The wind whipped sand against our faces, stinging. My flashlight beam cut through the dark, landing on a figure stepping from the shadows, denim jacket, phone in hand. Evan. He raised a hand, calm as ever. Seren. We can talk about this. Ward's voice was flat. Sir, this is private property. Evan smiled thinly. Company property, technically. Peak Trail has rights to this footage, and this land usage agreement. Wrong, I said, stepping forward. You had a stolen itinerary and a forged contract, and we have the proof. Behind me, tires crunched again. Another vehicle pulled in, and the unmistakable glow of a camera light hit the dust. Talia, Outland's journalist. Her camera operator followed. Mike pointed straight at us. Evan froze like a deer in high beams. Perfect timing, I said softly. Meet the witness. Talia called out. We're rolling, Seren. Say it all. So I did. I told her about the stolen deck, the blackmail emails, the fake motel photo, the internal leaks. When I mentioned the intimidation, Ward held up the evidence bag with Evan's company badge, which I hadn't even seen him pick up from the ground. He dropped this near his car, he said. Evan's face went pale. Talia turned her mic to him. Mr. Price. Would you like to respond? He swallowed, glancing between us. No comment, but his no comment was all anyone needed. By dawn, the video was everywhere. Caught on camera, brand rep confronts creator in the desert. Outland posted the full footage, no cuts, no spin. Millions watched as I stood in the pale Utah light and refused to be silenced. Comments poured in from all over the world. That's courage. This woman just changed the influencer industry. Peak Trail's done. And they were right. Within 48 hours, Peak Trail's parent company issued a full statement. We apologize unreservedly to Miss Seren Locke. Following an internal investigation, we have terminated the employees responsible for unauthorized use of her intellectual property. We will fund a creator protection initiative and reimburse all parties involved. Corporate language, sure, but behind it was collapse sponsors pulling out, stock value dipping, executives retiring early. Justice slow, bureaucratic, but real. A month later, I was back in the desert. No camera crew, no panic, just me, my Subaru, and silence. The season had shifted. The air was warm again, soft with the smell of sage. I hiked out to the ridge where I'd first filmed the quiet arches. The same ravens circled overhead, their wings black ink against the morning. When I set up my tripod, the lens faced east toward the sun creeping over the rock towers. I hit record. It's been a while, I said to the camera. If you followed this journey, you know it wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about respect for work, for truth, for the stories we build with our hands. I paused, feeling the weight of the words. The desert taught me something. You can't own sunlight. You can't trademark wonder. But you can choose to tell the truth even when it's hard, even when it costs you. A gust of wind lifted my hair. I smiled. Peak Trail tried to turn my map into marketing, but this place doesn't care about logos. The arches are still here. The sky is still here. And so am I. The camera caught everything, the quiet, the color, the steadiness in my eyes. When I stopped recording, I didn't rush to check playback. I just stood there, breathing. The canyon echoed the way it always does, a sound like memory. And for the first time in months, I felt peace. Later that night, I uploaded the final video. The quiet arches. What truth sounds like. It wasn't angry. It wasn't bitter. It was grateful to everyone who spoke up, to the desert for holding me steady, to the lesson itself. The comments were softer now, thoughtful, full of other creators saying they'd watermark their decks, protect their work, stand up for each other. That was the real win. A week after posting, I got an email from a law professor at Stanford. They were adding my case to their digital ethics and media ownership course. Seren Locke footnote turned precedent. I ended the series with one last line, spoken over drone footage of the red rock glowing at dusk. Revenge isn't always about breaking someone. Sometimes it's about showing the world what they tried to hide and letting the light do the rest. Fade to black.